Welcome back to another episode of The Athlete's Mindset. Today, I'm joined by Jake Kistaitis, a former college baseball player at MSU Denver, who's now making a big impact as a sports performance coach for the Midland Rockhounds, the AA affiliate of the Oakland Athletics. Jake brings a unique perspective to the world of athlete development, combining his playing experience with a deep understanding of what it takes to help players perform at their best, physically and mentally. He's a true leader who knows how to challenge and uplift the athletes he works with. Today, we dive into his journey from player to coach, how he builds trust with his athletes, and what it takes to stay locked in throughout a long season. I'm excited to hear his thoughts. Let's get into it. Jake, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm not too bad. So you're back in Midland now, and season just got going, but I want to talk a little bit about your time, one as a player, went to Iowa Western, ended up at MSU Denver before getting into the strength and conditioning world. Can you just talk a little bit about your journey to, how you ended up where you are now?
Yeah, so started off college baseball at Iowa Western Community College. Was there for 2 years, kind of hit some adversity down the road, more than I expected to. Growing up, you're always like the top tier kid in the area. And then once you are around a lot of top tier kids from different areas, it's like, okay, now you got to kind of humble yourself a little bit. Kind of struggled there a bit. So that's when I kind of fully decided to look into life after baseball without looking into life after baseball and decided kind of what route I want to take, become a strength coach in professional baseball. But then after Iowa Western, I went down to MSU Denver on a scholarship, a D2 in Denver. Um, and I had a pretty good career there, finished strong, finished kind of where I wanted it to. And then after baseball was over, I was fortunate enough to meet the head strength coach of the Dodgers when they were in town playing the Rockies. And he kind of allowed me to get my feet wet in professional baseball with an internship. And then I was very fortunate to learn a lot from them and then take that knowledge and experience and add it into my daily life with the A's.
hmm Yeah, that's awesome. And I know you kind of built your way up. You started in the DR with the A's, ended up in Arizona now this year. And last year you were in Midland with the AA affiliates. So just building your way up. So you've dealt with a whole bunch of players. What's kind of just your process when it comes to getting to know them and having them trust you so you can get the most out of them?
I think a big thing with getting guys to trust you is just building a relationship, kind of seeing what guys are into early on, not be too aggressive with them as far as like, hey, I'm going to force you to do this, kind of have them have a little say in the program, but as long as it fits within our program's goals. So giving them some say, learning from them, kind of teaching them why we do what we do. It's very helpful, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Can you talk a little bit about just the transition from being a player to into more of a coaching role, where you're not the guy out there on the field, but your job is to get the guys that are going to be out there on the field to be, in the best shape they possibly can be.
Yeah, I think the transition's been pretty easy. I mean, early on, I kind of avoided baseball altogether. Didn't watch many games. Kind of just let baseball simmer out a little bit because you hit that mode where, hey, man, like I'm done. Like there's no more. I don't have it tomorrow. So once that little time frame ended, I started getting back into it when I got my internship, and then just being around baseball again just brought the love out. And now transitioning into my strength conditioning side, now it's like, okay, how can I get everything out of these athletes that I need to help them perform at their best?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's how I feel now coaching at Miller North is the goal is to get the most out of your players and just instill as much confidence as you can into your players. So when it's time to get out on the field, they're just ready to go. I mean, you probably believe in your guys, and I think that just goes a long way that people don't really recognize. But along with that, what's kind of your um, kind of just like process in making sure that these guys are ready, whether it's in the off season or in season? Like, what's kind of the difference between those two?
I would say like the off season's more so we got to build a foundation, got to get strong, got to get fast, and we got to get to the point where our bodies are strong enough that once we come into season, now it's just pure maintenance. We're just here to play baseball, But yeah, we're still going to lift and keep our strength on and try and stay on the field as long as possible because the best attribute that you can provide to a team is being available. And so having your body in a good spot when you come in is huge.
Yeah, definitely. Do you feel like, I mean, you're working with, adults, you're working with grown men, guys that it's their job to play professional baseball. Do you feel like it's almost easy to kind of just like guide them because their goal is to make it to the big league? So it kind of makes it like you shouldn't have to push them really. Or do you feel like there's guys that you kind of have to get harp on, or what's kind of your process behind that?
I would say it depends on what time of season it is. Early on, it's like, hey, everyone's excited to be there. It's new. It's easy to get guys in, but it's once we kind of hit the dog days of the summer where it's end of July, early August, now it's like, all right, guys, I got to start being more pushy and getting guys in, making sure they're getting their stuff done, just because they're so worried about baseball and the long seasons that has occurred that you kind of have to be on them a little bit more. But then towards the end of the year, now it's excitement again because it's either, hey, we got a few weeks left, or you're in that run for playoff contention. So it's exciting.
Yeah. What do you think is just a few important parts of staying healthy over a long season while also staying consistent, um, just with I mean, weight and strength and food? What are kind of what advice would you give for guys that are trying to sustain a long season?
Some advice I'd give is just having a daily routine. From the moment you get into the field, making sure you're hydrated, you eat something before you get to the stadium, and then having a routine of, okay, what can I do to activate my body so it's ready to go for this practice, some downtime, and then back into the game, as well as making sure we're getting our lifts in every week too. So I know that varies from guy to guy, but whatever routine they have, I like to try and persuade to keep it that way. So then it's like, hey, now it's just fall in the cycle each week.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, I mean, the guys I've talked to previously have all said like it's a long season. I mean, mentally it's draining, but also physically is you're exhausted. You're playing pretty much every single day, very few off days. Um, what are some issues that you think guys run into, not only physically but also mentally, just going over a long season?
I would say in our league specifically, I'd say bus trips. I know it's never going to change, but it's just the way it is. Like guys get done playing on Sunday, we eat, get showered up, change, and then now you're on the bus for anywhere from 3 hours to 12 hours. So knowing you have that trip, getting in the next day anywhere from like 2 to 5 a.m. typically, it's tough. And then you sleep in and then you miss all your off day Monday. So you don't get that time to kind of like get away from the sport,
Hmm.
kind of enjoy yourself, do whatever you need to do to get ready for the next week.
Hmm. Yeah, that's got to be tough. I can't even imagine just, I mean, 162 games and you're just on the road, especially in the minor leagues and double A, especially those long road trips. Um, how do you kind of like stay on top of your guys and make sure they one are just staying positive because it's a long season, they could be in a slump, their body could not be feeling right. What's kind of just like your motivation to them when you kind of talk to them if they are struggling?
I would say from my side of things, I kind of steer my conversations away from baseball. Trying kind of see how everything's going outside of baseball. How is the family? Are you sleeping well, eating well? Like anything not baseball related, I'll try and crack jokes. Sometimes they go well, sometimes they're kind of like, God, this
Yeah.
guy's an idiot. But
Yeah.
just something to get their mind distracted completely about what's going on. I think can help, but sometimes it's like, okay, maybe we do need to have a baseball talk. And I just kind of let guys vent about whatever they're going through, and then I just listen.
Yeah. Definitely, because I mean, same thing with this podcast. I feel like everyone has something to talk about the mental side, because everyone's going through it. I mean, there's no guy that has hit 1,000 over a season. Like, guys get out, they struggle, especially getting to slumps. So I think just being able to talk about it, whatever you're going through, just makes it so much easier to get through it. Um, going along with the mental side, what would you say is different between the good players, the guys that, I mean, yeah, they're good enough to make it to pro ball, and the great players mentally that make it to the big leagues?
I would say it's got to be the guys that don't ride the roller coaster. Like when things are going well, they're at an all-time high. but then when things start to go downhill quickly, they don't hit the all-time low and they don't hit the bottom. So I think the guys that stay kind of even keel throughout the entire season, obviously it's not going to happen, but as long as you don't take the big dips and the big rises, I think that's probably your best bet.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I was a guy that kind of struggled. Like, I would hit a home run one game or have one good game, and I was like, "Oh, I got this figured out." Like, bring on tomorrow, and then tomorrow maybe I have 2Ks or 3Ks, and I'd be like, "Okay, I don't got it figured out." And so I think also, like you kind of talked about earlier, is just not letting one day lead into the next. I know a lot of guys struggle with like having one bad day, and then the next day they're like, "Oh, I got to fix this. I can't do this again, or I'm going to struggle again." So I think that's a big issue. Um, what would you say, just, I mean, from being a player and now coaching, are some things that you would recommend to players if they are going through the struggles, or kind of what thought process should they have instead of going down this kind of negative rabbit hole?
I think a phrase that I use with a lot of people is you have to care without caring. And by that I mean you have to care about the sport, care about your daily grind, about everything you're doing to get better, but not care about the overall results. Because at the end of the day, if you care about the results and you're result driven, that's when you're going to ride that roller coaster too much. So I'd say if you can care without caring, that's probably your best bet.
Yeah, definitely. I saw something um, the other day, and it just talked about how your confidence can't be based on the outcome. I think a lot of guys do struggle with that, where maybe they will have a good game, and so they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm good. Like I know what I'm doing. I have confidence in myself." Um, but then the moment they have a bad day, it's like, I don't believe myself. Like I'm not good. Um, so I think that's something that a lot of, especially young guys, struggle with, is their confidence just based on the outcome, and that's just going to get you absolutely nowhere. On the strength side of things, what would you say separates the good players from the great players?
Ultimately, I think it's just whoever stays on the field the longest. Um,
Mhm.
the more consistent you are in the gym, the better off you're going to be with keeping strength on from everything you built throughout the off season. Or if you need some more mobility work, being consistent with getting your work in. I think whatever you do consistently is what's going to keep you at your best. And for guys that may vary, maybe some guy needs more strength, so we need to push a little bit more in the gym. Some guy needs a little more movement based, so they might need a little more movement in their workouts. So I think it's depends on whatever each guy needs, but just continue to be consistent with whatever your goal is to obtain.
Yeah, I think that's good stuff. What I'm curious on your thoughts. When it comes to pitchers, it seems like injuries, especially Tommy John, and those things are happening just more and more over the years. What do you think is like the reason for that? And what would you kind of say to pitchers to make sure they are staying healthy rather than having those injuries?
Um, I don't know that I have a true answer for that actually, because I think it could be a variety of different things going on, whether it's stress on the body through the sport, stress on the body through outside the sport, where now you're carrying over stress. So I think it just varies on each individual. But as far as trying to prevent it the best they can, I'd say making sure you're coming into the season ready to go and then continuing to follow that good routine and finding a routine that works for you. So, yeah, I wish there was a clear cut answer like, hey, you're doing this wrong or doing that, but there just isn't.
What's up, everyone? It's Tristan. Whether I'm recording a podcast, training, or just trying to stay sharp throughout the day, hydration matters. That's why I partnered with Relight by Redmond. My two go-tos are mixed berry and lemon lime. And they have great ingredients, taste great, no problems at all, and just keeps me fresh throughout the entire day. Relight has helped me stay focused, energized, and ready to go, whether I'm hitting the gym, deep into an episode, or just living day-to-day life. They also have a great pre-workout, blueberry lemonade or peach mango, that gets you ready if you need a little extra kick before you hit the gym. If you want to try Relight for yourself, use the discount code Athletes Mindset for 15% off. I'll drop the link in the bio and in the description, and you can get a good taste of what Relight's all about. Yeah. Um, how do you deal with guys that are going through rehab? Because I mean, a lot of times guys are going through rehab, that's like the lowest point in their career. What's kind of your idea of how to, make sure they're staying positive, and one, make sure they're actually, on the right path when it comes to their strength and workout to get back to where they were previously?
I would say a big one is just finding little goals every day to kind of have them look forward to something. Like, what can I achieve today? Like, is that to get full depth on a squat or an RDL, or are we trying to hit a certain speed on the barbell with our timing devices? Like, whatever goal we can kind of set, I think that gives them something to look forward to. So it's not, oh, woe is me, I'm hurt and this and that. Because, yeah, at the end of the day, you are hurt and it sucks. It really does. And no one wants you there. Everyone wants you on the field to perform because that's why you're here. But finding little things here and there that it's like, hey, let's try and achieve this today, and then testing and then retesting, I think is huge.
Yeah. Can you explain a little bit more about like just the retesting and testing, like what you mean by that?
Yeah, so I mean, we put guys through certain movement screens, whether it's testing their full range of motion, stability, whether they favor one side or the other, um, measure hip, IR, ER, just trying to see how much space they have in their hip socket. And so we could take them through a couple tests every day and then could put them through a workout and then retest them after. It's like, okay, did we achieve what we were looking for? If not, okay, now let's go back to the drawing board and rewrite the program so we can make adjustments based on those results and then do the same thing the next day. Next day comes, we achieve what we wanted to, perfect. The program's working. We're right in a good spot.
Yeah. Are your workouts, so I know you have guys that are rehabbing, so they have a different workout, but do your workouts kind of vary amongst just players, or do you feel like it's a lot of like position players are going to do this, pitchers are going to do this, or do you kind of try to individualize it at all?
We have an overall program for both pitchers and position players, but at the end of the day, it has to be individualized because some guys will like certain things. They'll kind of stay away from certain things, or through our testing, we use force plates. So we kind of see like, okay, are they dominant on a single leg or are they lacking overall force production? What do they exactly need? So we kind of take all those factors into play and kind of write programs based on each person.
Yeah, that's awesome. I just want to ask, how do you define success in your role? I mean, it's a long season and more when you're um, like in season. What would you define success as?
Are you asking as far as like myself?
Yes, as the strength
Okay.
guy.
I would say just kind of keeping guys on the field as much as you can. I know injuries are always going to happen. It's part of life, but limiting them to the point where guys are staying on the field and they could play baseball. Like that's the ultimate goal for us. Once guys come off or they get hurt, it kind of you look at yourself and you're like, dang, like what did I do wrong? How did I mess this up? Why didn't his program work when seven other guys' programs did? So you
Yeah.
kind of look at yourself in the mirror first, and then it's like back to the drawing boards and what can I get this guy to do better at to keep him on the field as long as possible.
Mhm. What are some aspects of just kind of your job that you want to maybe get better at or learn a little bit more about?
Um, I'd like to definitely get better at baseball integration. Having the baseball background I do, I think I can transfer the weight room to the field and vice versa. If some guy's working on something new with the swing, I think I can find ways to work on it in the weight room. So now we're working together and the athlete's getting the most out of it.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that's something that a lot of guys don't think about, especially, I mean, at the younger levels when you're lifting. But I mean, you'll
Yep.
see videos of like Christian Yelich doing like band work that just like aligns perfectly with how he's swinging, and he's just getting stronger with it. And I think as you get older, you recognize that, and especially in your position, it's probably easier to see like, oh, you're working this out on the field. Let's see what we can do in here to perfect that. So that's pretty interesting and something that's kind of like fun to watch, especially for you when it works out. Like you have a guy that you're working on some with, he goes to the field and he starts raking or something. Um, what would you say, just on the mental side of things, is something that maybe you struggled with, um, but also you wish you could like talk to guys that are struggling with the same thing? So let's say you um, struggle with riding the roller coaster. What would you say to a guy that you know you're coaching that just rides the roller coaster all the time?
Yeah, I was a big roller coaster guy. When things were going good, I was one of the happiest people out there, but kind of when I hit that bottom part of the roller coaster, I was down bad. So I would just go out of my way to try and keep guys more even keel. Okay, if a guy struggled today, okay, why did you struggle? Well, it felt
Mhm.
different from the day that you're doing good. Or if someone's like really down deep, it's like, okay, why are you here? What has caused you to come here? Like, you're obviously good enough to be here. Like, you got
Right.
to double A baseball. You're not just given this chance just because you're a Joe Schmo and
Yeah.
they just felt bad for you. Like, you're a good player. It's like, how did we get here? And how can we get that player back to then get you going back on the right track?
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't even think about that. Like, I mean, yes, they're struggling and they're going through it, and I mean, it's their job, like it's their career, but
Mhm.
they're good enough baseball players to get to one double A, which is already insane. Just getting drafted or signing with the team is still extremely impressive. So I think a lot of guys almost, I don't want to say take it for granted, but don't look back and say like I did a lot of work to get to where I am now. So if I've
Exactly.
struggled before, I can struggle again and I'll get through it. And I think that's one of the hardest things about baseball is when you're in a slump, you just have no clue when you're ever going to get your next hit again, and you just don't think it's ever going to happen. Um, I want to end every conversation with the same question. I just want to ask regarding the mental side of the game, what is one thing you would tell your younger self about the mental side of the game?
I would go back to that statement I made earlier of care without caring. Don't be so results driven. Just care about the process and continuing to get better on a daily basis. And just know that at the end of the day, it's going to come to an end. So just enjoy every second of it so then you can live out your full potential.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Well, Jake, I want to thank you for coming on, and I'm wishing you luck, the best of the season, and hopefully, guys are staying healthy.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you again to Jake for sharing his journey and insight into the mental side of the game. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might find it valuable. Thanks for tuning in and keep moving forward. Until next time.